Luxury sedans have withstood the test of time, but also the popularization of SUVs, where even today, in 2022, cars like the Mercedes Benz C Class, Audi A4, and BMW 3 Series still appeal to consumers thanks to their executive presence, but also the ride comfort, high-quality interiors, and overall performance. Mercedes-Benz turned heads this year with the redesigned C300, turning the dial up a notch when it pertains to technology, by providing drivers with a scaled-down S-Class cabin. The Audi A4, receiving its facelift a few years ago, comes in as a well-rounded luxury sedan that may not be seen as a class leader in any particular category, but is a formidable competitor amongst its German rivals. So today, we're going to compare the C300 and Audi A4 to see which luxury car is best for you. The days of specially crafted luxury sedans may be over, especially now with brands embracing minimalism and not deviating too much from prior generations. And the 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300 is a perfect example of that. With the C-Class being the manufacturer's best-selling four-door car in the lineup, drastically refreshing this sedan would have been a mistake. But the changes that were made modernizes the exterior, while also making the C300 look classier and more upscale. Thanks to the remolding of the lower portion of the front bumper, the C300 has a lower and wider stance to look more aggressive and sporty, and those characteristics make their way on the hood as well. The emphasis on luxury for 2022 is very prominent with this road presence, as the LED headlights and even the redesigned front grille embody class and sophistication. When coming around to the back, that's where there'll be no mistaking the 2022 model year from last generation, as the LED taillights now run horizontally following the same path as the E-Class and S-Class. Despite the traditional sedan silhouette, it does take some minor styling cues from the CLA, while at the same time still being upscale and not losing too much of its identity, as Mercedes-Benz's primary goal was to give their compact luxury sedan a minor refresh rather than a substantial overhaul. For Audi, the A4 went through its mid-cycle refresh 2 years ago, updating the front fascia to appear more dynamic than in the past. But it's worth noting that the honeycomb grille is only available on models equipped with the S-Line package, which is standard for all 45 TFSI A4s. Audi has always gone for unassuming looks up until the B9.5 facelift, as now the sedan will certainly catch your eye, but it still retains a lower profile road presence. When it pertains to the rear fascia, the A4 takes design cues from the A6, which is common for most German brands, as they attempt to keep the product line looking relatively the same. Much like we'll see for the interior, the A4 is all about subtle luxury, where it may not stand out amongst rivals, yet its classy and reserved demeanor may appeal to buyers not looking to draw too much attention. German manufacturers have been revered throughout the decades for their attention to detail and the usage of higher quality materials for the cabins. But now in 2022, with technology dominating the automotive world, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW are looked to as offering the best and most in-depth user interfaces and digital displays on the market. With the C-Class getting an all-new interior that draws inspiration from the larger and more expensive S-Class, Mercedes is hoping to dethrone Audi in this department by astonishing drivers and passengers alike with an interior that far exceeds the price point. You'll immediately recognize the full digital gauge cluster, which receives some minor updates, improving the resolution and quality, while also cleaning up the menus to simplify this display. You can fully customize what you see to showcase relevant information, including the navigation map. The new 12-inch touchscreen, however, is the main talking point, as it's no longer placed at eye level with the digital display like we saw last generation. By cleaning up the center console, there's no touchpad anymore, and quite honestly, it wasn't missed, as Mercedes-Benz focused on the user experience to make everything as simple to use as possible. From here, you can access vehicle settings and even adjust the seat positioning for the driver's side automatically by plugging in your height. When behind the wheel, the C-Class's interior mimics a fighter jet-like cockpit, but at the same time is so classy and upscale that you'll easily forget that it's a C300 and not an E-Class. Our model was equipped with the MB-Tex leatherette upholstery, but you can go as far to equip the C300 with Nappa leather. In conjunction with the slightly redesigned seats, the comfort, support, and bolstering are definitely an upgrade over the outgoing model. For C-Classes with the AMG line package, the dashboard will also have MB-Tex material to amplify the opulence of the interior, which we believe sets the sedan apart from competitors. For the A4, your overall impressions for the cabin will be centered around the virtual cockpit and MMI user interface, as Audi has built a solid reputation with the B9 generation thanks to their intuitive technology and modern interior layout. While rivals are just beginning to catch up on minimizing button clutter, Audi was ahead of the game, and that's been amplified for the B9.5 facelift, as this 10-inch touchscreen is not paired with the rotary dial that was present on B9 models. Normally, that would be a cause for concern, as the placement of this screen does require you to reach a bit to access menus. Thankfully, this head unit is responsive and easy to use, as the resolution is top-notch. Audi's virtual cockpit is arguably the most visually appealing, but also the least complicated digital display to customize in this market, especially when compared to the C-Class, which uses haptic feedback buttons on the steering wheel, whereas the A4 is much easier to get adapted to. The rest of the interior is relatively basic and straightforward, but it's the wide center console, supportive seats, and well-insulated cabin that enhances your experience behind the wheel. The A4's cabin may not be as eye-opening as the C-Class, but if you're someone looking for subtle luxury and easier-to-use technology, that's where Audi may appeal to your personal tastes. Expectations from consumers for luxury sedans vary, as some drivers want stiffer suspensions, tighter cornering, and aggressive driving dynamics, whereas others are in search for a daily driver that's comfortable and relaxing, while still having the ability to offer an engaging driving experience. With the exception of the Alfa Romeo Giulia, luxury cars in this segment that aren't the performance variants will lean more towards opulence and being classy, rather than putting you on the edge of your seat. And when specifically focusing on the C300 and Audi A4, you can be assured that they won't disappoint when you step inside and get behind the wheel. First, taking a look at the Audi A4, it's powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, producing 261 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Compared to prior model years, a 12-volt mild hybrid system was introduced to add 13 horsepower, while also improving overall efficiency. When easing into the throttle, you won't experience any turbo lag, and in fact, the linear power and quick gear shifts gave us one of the smoothest rides to date in this market. Unlike the BMW 330i or Alfa Romeo Giulia, steering and cornering won't be as sharp, nor will there be a tremendous amount of weight to the steering. Yet with that being said, when driving on back roads, the A4 is buttery smooth, to give you some confidence when carving up the bends and twists. And despite the lack of a sports-tuned suspension, this sedan feels connected to the road with minimal body roll, which was unexpected. When going over bumps and imperfections on city and suburban streets, you won't experience jolts or get thrown around, as the A4's softer ride quality is a perfect match for buyers looking for a traditional luxury sedan. The Mercedes Benz C300, on the other hand, is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. All new for the C-Class is a 48-volt mild hybrid system, which typically German brands tend to understate the positive impacts these systems have on gas-powered cars, and compared to the A4, the 48-volt will drastically affect performance, whereas the 12-volt for the Audi offers minimal improvements. One of the criticisms we had with the C300 last generation was the 9-speed automatic transmission, which fell behind the ZF 8-speed in the BMW 330i and 7-speed DSG in the A4. But for 2022, the C-Class feels very much on par with its closest rivals when accelerating and shifting through gears, and that could be due to that mild hybrid system. Mercedes-Benz's approach for their non-AMG models is to emphasize luxury and sophistication, and that continues with the C300, as steering is very light, which does diminish the feedback when cornering. Some have claimed that the suspension is a bit harsh when going over imperfections in the road, but we didn't notice a difference compared to other competitors in this segment, and our model wasn't equipped with the optional sports tune suspension, so that may have played a role. Ultimately, the C-Class for 2022 feels refined and polished, but keep in mind that if you are an enthusiast, you may want to consider going with an AMG for a more aggressive driving experience. With the 2022 C-Class just arriving at showrooms in the US now, obviously all the eyes are on the C300, and journalists have pretty much crowned Mercedes-Benz as having the best sedan in this segment. The new technology you can interact with certainly raises the bar one step higher that rivals will have to match in the near future. But where the C-Class may falter for some consumers will be the lack of engagement when driving. But the same could be said for the A4, which is why we recommend going with the S4 if performance is a top priority. It can't be disputed that Mercedes-Benz has introduced an S-Class-like interior to a sub $50,000 market, and that could pay immediate dividends throughout this year. However, the A4 shouldn't be overlooked or dismissed, as Audi offers buyers a modern cabin with easy-to-use technology and overall a sedan that's a jack of all trades. As stated earlier, it may not lead in one particular category, but the A4 is exceptionally well-rounded for its price range, and with the borderline athletic driving dynamics, it's a solid luxury sedan that does everything right. Either way, you can't go wrong by choosing a C300 or A4, as both have their strengths and weaknesses. But what we will say is that Mercedes-Benz is redefining the luxury sports sedan market by transforming the C-Class into a baby S-Class. We hope you enjoyed this comparison between the 2022 Mercedes-Benz C300 and Audi A4. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And if you're interested in buying a luxury compact sedan, make sure to check out our full reviews and quick buyer's guides to help you find your next vehicle. And thanks for watching.